What's up YouTube? Welcome to the Mage Arena crafting guide. In today's video, we're going to be covering all 16 craftable items and all 5 soups, but first, I'd like to cover all resources and how to get them. When you start a game, you'll find a chest with 6 random materials. In order to get more of these materials, you'll need to capture its respected biome. For mushrooms, you must capture the mushroom biome. Once the mushroom biome is captured, a goblin will periodically bring mushrooms to the front of your castle. Capturing crystal caves will bring you crystals, Frog Bog will bring you frogs, Misty Mountains will bring you rocks, and Forest Hills will bring you logs. Now that we know how to get these resources, let's dive into what these resources can do. First up, we have Crystal Soup, which will give you a sprint speed boost for 2 minutes. Apparently, it's also supposed to increase spell power, but I tested in game and it doesn't seem like it does. You can stack these to keep increasing your speed, just keep in mind that the more you stack, the more stamina it'll use. Mushroom Soup will give you a jump boost and remove fall damage for 2 minutes. This soup is also apparently supposed to increase spell power, but again, I tested and it doesn't seem like it does. You can stack multiple of these to continue increasing your jump height. Log Soup will heal or overheal you 50 HP. The visual is glitched right now and only shows a black bar, but it still works the way it's supposed to. Once the extra health is gone, you cannot regenerate it unless you eat another Log Soup. You can stack this over and over to create basically a juggernaut of a player. Frog Soup will automatically extend your tongue the moment you look at an enemy, which will force the player to drop their item. As long as you're close enough, it seems like it's a guaranteed hit, but keep in mind that the soup only has one use. I tested in game and it seems like there's no duration, so if you drink Frog Soup and don't see any players for 5 minutes, then finally see a player, your tongue should still automatically attack. And finally, my personal favorite, Rock Soup, will play your voice through the skies so everyone on the map can hear you. This soup lasts 1 minute. Please note that all of these soups are stackable, and if you die before they expire, they'll carry through your death. The first craftable we're going to cover is the Excalibur, as it's one of the most powerful weapons of the game and is the only craftable that isn't listed on the recipe list. Both parts of the Excalibur can be found in the Mausoleum, which is basically a randomly generated dungeon. Now, according to the code, both parts of Excalibur will always spawn as far away from each other as possible, so if you find one piece of the sword, you'll want to look on the opposite side of the Mausoleum for the second piece. Be careful when navigating the Mausoleum because you will run into skeletons and the mage skeleton. When you hit a skeleton, it'll usually break down into smaller parts, so be sure to completely eliminate each part of their body. As for the mage skeleton, this is the strongest AI in the game as it has quite a bit of health and deals a lot of damage with its fireball-like attack. Keep your distance and always be ready to hide behind a wall when it attacks. Also, when you're in the Mausoleum, be sure you're breaking vases because you can oftentimes find spells hidden underneath them. Once you find both parts of Excalibur, make your way back to your base, throw them both on the crafting table, and now you have the Excalibur. The Excalibur will deal 100 damage per hit, and apparently it's supposed to permanently kill players, but that doesn't currently work. This is also the only craftable that will stay in your inventory after death. The rest of the craftables can be separated into 3 categories: movement, weapons, and utility. Under the movement category, we'll start with one of my favorite items in the game, the Frog Balloon. Holding this item allows you to float high up into the air and float back down. You can actually just get over the enemy castle if you jump from the right spot with this item. And when paired with the rock spell, you can almost get from one end of the map to the other. The walking stick is made with 2 logs and simply increases your walking and sprinting speed. The fungal walking stick is basically the upgraded version of the walking stick, as it not only increases your walking and sprint speed, but also gives you a jump boost. The mushroom sword can be used to bounce yourself off floors or walls. This item will not negate fall damage, but it also won't bounce you high enough to take fall damage unless you're bouncing off height. This can be very useful not only for getting around the map, but also for getting away from enemies. If you hit an enemy with this item, it'll bounce them much higher than it bounces you, resulting in some fall damage. The Mushroom Man is, well, a little mushroom man that you can jump on for a jump boost. Once you place him down, he'll follow you around wherever you go. Even if you die or teleport, he'll always make his way back to you. The Mushroom Man will always follow the last player that put him down, so if an enemy has one, you can pick it up and drop it down to make it yours. These guys last forever and, as far as I can tell, cannot be killed. Next, we have the 5 weapons. The first is the dart gun, which will invert the player controls for 15 seconds. If you continue to hit the same player over and over, the duration of this effect will stack. The dart gun will also deal about 10 damage per hit and has infinite ammo. The frog spear is basically a sword, but instead of dealing damage, it'll force players to drop their items, similar to Frog Soup. As long as the tongue is fully extended, it'll hit any players it touches. Other than frog soup, this is the only way to get Excalibur from another player. The frog leather blade is a basic sword that deals about 20 damage per hit. When you're swinging the sword, be sure to move your mouse around, because if you just ram someone, it'll only hit them once, but if you're moving your cursor around, it can hit them over and over very fast. If done correctly, you can kill players extremely quick. The Silverseed Bramble will create a zone of roots that will damage any players walking on it. These roots will stay in place for 60 seconds. You have 3 uses, and each use has a 30-second cooldown. This item is very good, as you can use it to prevent enemies from capturing a flag, and you can even place roots on higher ground if a player is camping on the sides of a castle. The golem can be crafted with a crystal and a rock, and is one of the best craftables in the game, as it follows you around, attacks enemies, and is immune to magic. If an enemy comes within close proximity, it'll throw crystals at them, dealing about 20 damage. Once the golem locks onto you, it's very hard to dodge his attack. Unlike the Mushroom Man, you cannot pick up an enemy golem. As of right now, golems cannot be killed, they are completely invincible, and they are totally broken. Finally, we have the 5 utility items. The first is the orb to see what a random opponent sees. When you hold down your mouse button, it'll reveal a player's POV, which you can then turn your camera to see what's around them. This is very useful when you're looking for the last few opponents. The Levitator is one of the best items in the game, as it allows you to pick up other players. This item has 45 seconds of charge, and as long as you're not using it, it'll passively recharge 1 second at a time. Once you pick up another player, there's no way for them to escape unless you get knocked back far enough. Be careful when using this against enemies, as they can still use attacks. What makes this item so good is that if you look down at your feet, you can actually levitate yourself, which is one of the best ways to get around the map in the game. Next, we have the Shrink Ray, which will shrink players for 40 seconds. Any player shrunk will also have a high-pitched voice effect. This item is very useful if you're hiding or trying to make it harder for enemies to hit you. Unfortunately, you'll need another player to shrink you, as you cannot shrink yourself. My favorite part about this item is that it can be used to sneakily jump through windows of enemy castles. The Spore Frog is simply a frog that releases a large cloud of smoke. I don't find myself using this item very often, but I can definitely see it being used for ambush attacks. And finally, the last craftable item is the Thrumming Stone, which is used to block attacks. When you use this item, you'll cast a force field that will block any enemy projectiles. You can cast this force field every 10 seconds. You can block enemy fireballs, magic missiles, and you can even block thunderbolt attacks if you time it right. As far as I know, you can block every spell as long as you time it correctly. Remember that most of these tests were made in-game, meaning this information may not be 100% correct. Any new information will be posted in the pinned comment below. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.